What's up, everybody?
Yeah. Good evening. Or good afternoon, actually.
Yeah, a little earlier than we normally get to record. But still having us some good beverages.
Yeah,
you just got a little mixed up with your drink of choice.
Yeah,
day or night.
I was like, man, it might be a little early in the day for me to do the whiskey, which now I feel left out.
Yeah, now you're kind of pussing out on us.
I am. That's okay.
It's
not the first time I ever had.
Before we get in, let's give a shout out.
Yeah.
Agzaga, you got the hat on.
Yeah, agzaga.com. You guys all know it. The discount code Talk Dirt, all caps, all one word. I mean, hay season is upon us. The bell net wrap, of course, the big thing. Heck, I was looking at the weather forecast. I got some hay ready to cut, but the forecast does not look favorable
for anything.
For the foreseeable 10 to 14 days. But yeah, I actually used my Flexzilla water hose today when I was pressure washing the tractor. So yeah, check them out. Anything you need, bell net wrap.
Agzaga.com. Get on there. All right. We got an awesome episode for you guys. You know, we love our guest episodes, but they're just 10 times better, I feel like, when we got them in studio. So we got the man himself, Ty Ferrell. Ty, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Pleasure to be here.
You know, we should have wore our hats.
Cowboy hats?
Yeah.
Well,
if we had planned, but I don't have a straw one. And isn't it like a cardinal sin to wear a straw hat?
It's actually not straw hat season just yet, but that's what Memorial Day, Labor Day thing.
Okay.
But I think rules are meant to be broken.
Well, and what do they say?
Nearly 90 degrees outside.
Good gosh, yeah, it is. Well, they claim you're not supposed to wear a felt hat with short sleeves.
Maybe so. Yeah.
I'm not hip with that. I don't remember where I heard that.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different rules.
I just put a hat on.
Yeah.
I just wear a hat.
Yeah.
Just go with what feels good.
That's right, man. That's right. Well, yeah, man, like I said, glad you made the drive. You said you didn't witness any wrecks coming down this time, so we said better than one of our other guests.
But I did see some hay being baled.
Yeah, I say I need to get some cut, but yeah, it's not looking with my regular job. It's tough for me to find those windows, especially here earlier in the year.
Well, shoot, I need to be planting. I got a long way to go on planting still. And yeah, like you said, the next 10 to 14 day window is all rain. Yeah. This whole week was supposed to be rain.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping I don't want to wish away any rains, but I got a lot to do.
Here you guys are just, sacrificing your day jobs, talking about reality TV.
That's right, man. That's right. Well,
your wives are proud of you.
Oh, my wife was bummed she didn't get to meet you. She's a nurse and she's at work, and so she was like, "Man, I'm jealous," because she's been sucked into the show as much as I have.
That's what my wife's got to take my son to t-ball practice.
You'd be surprised how many places all of us guys have been. And the husbands, are somewhere. They're like, can we get a picture with you? Our wives are going to be so jealous.
Yeah.
That's such. We hear that all the time.
We'll definitely. I got to get a better selfie. My angle was weird, so we'll get a better selfie so I can make her jealous. Well, man, Ty, tell us a little bit about yourself. We know we've gotten to see a glimpse into your world on the TV show Farmer Wants a Wife, but we want to know, like, Team Roper's all we see. So, who is Team Roper Ty?
I grew up on a horse. My dad had me riding. Team roping, I just kind of come into our area of Missouri when I was, basically just born. And so he was learning. He took me. I was on a horse. Always had a rope in my hand. Just grew up doing it, and it's always been a part of me. So it's just a part that you just can't separate from it. It's who I am. It's who I've been. I do enjoy different things, but on the everyday, I grew up actually operating heavy equipment.
Okay,
I've been a dirt guy, just in a different way.
Yeah,
y'all talk dirty, I'd make dirt look good.
yeah. So what kind of machinery? What were you running?
Just anything and everything: front end loaders, backhoes, excavators, dozers. It's one of those things where, like I said, just as much as I can swing a rope, I feel comfortable or confident being able to get on any piece of equipment and being able to operate it.
Well, good. You need to move here because I need a good operator. I'm always looking, man. I got a guy trying to teach some stuff, and he does good. But man, it's hard to teach. It takes time. I guess it takes time to learn that stuff.
Just like anything else, you got to learn it, and then you can't just. You got to have a feel for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, man. So
Logan's got some ground. You're still cleaning up.
I've been cleaning that ground up for 3 years. And Yeah, it'll take me at the rate I'm moving 5 more years to get it cleaned up, man. I lose a lot of sleep over that place.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's so you're a Missouri, you're born and raised in Missouri.
Sure.
Awesome. So now you got some cattle and stuff as well.
I do. Yeah, I've got a handful of horses, got some cattle. Definitely not a cattle rancher, cow guy in any kind of way. I've just got cows to rope and to be able to practice with. I'd call myself a horseman. When you get into the whole farmer wants a wife show, we can go straight into that. Of course, a lot of people are like, he's not a farmer. And I'm like, you're right. I'm not a farmer.
Yeah.
I am a team roper. I'm a cowboy. But I guess if you look up the definition of what a farmer is, I do fall under that category.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I damn sure don't claim to be a farmer.
Well, I would classify, rancher, farmer, like, to me, that's kind of the same.
Well,
ranch farm life. I mean, it's all the same. It's just a lot different.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just the fact that you make money off of the land that you own.
Yep.
Well, that's what, of course, we sit here and do this every week. And Logan's job, that's what he does. He's a farmer. And like, I don't know, I feel like sometimes, I don't know, I feel like an imposter, but my primary job is not on the farm now.
You're running more cattle than a lot of guys.
Well, yeah, and and I love that, and it's every morning, every evening when I get home, and of course weekends my day off. But yeah, people want to. I don't know. I'm not surprised there's people out there saying stuff like that. But
yeah, everybody's got an opinion on social media nowadays. And
dude, man,
they have a loud voice behind their phones.
Well, I have fun with it now. I'll just talk shit to them now.
Mm-hmm.
I used to try to like explain where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And now I just talk shit to them because it doesn't do any good. Like our talk dirt to me Instagram. I guess I blasted a guy yesterday on our stories. I don't know if y'all saw that. Did you see the dude? I shared a thing about spraying, and it was like showing a guy. It was Christopher Walken dancing, and it's like him going to get in a sprayer kind of thing, and it's making fun of farmers just liking the spray. And I knew it would trigger people because chemicals. Everybody wants to talk about glyphosate and Roundup, and so I shared that. And this guy commented yesterday, and he was responding to a dude, and a guy said he uses glyphosate, and I don't remember the guy's name that was an idiot, but he commented on there and he was like, tell me where you sell your grain to so I can be sure not to buy any from there. Yeah. And I'm like, first of all, it don't work like that. All the grain is lumped together, but I shared his comment to our story and I put on there, it's something like 91% of the grain sold in the U.S. is GMO and it's had herbicide used on it. And so me and him start going back and forth in the comments. And I said something along the lines of, dude, good luck. Like, if you're going to avoid it, good luck. And he said, well, I grow my own grain and make my own bread. And I said, well, I guess you also make your own clothes and everything. And because of the cotton. And he goes, well, it's not 1864 anymore, so I don't care about cotton. And I was like, so you don't care about clothes, bedding, oil, like I named cattle feed, like I named all this stuff. And then he never had anything else to say.
Yeah.
So, yes. But now you've been open to that on a like nationwide level.
For sure. And I can't stick out of I just can't keep my nose out of the Facebook and Instagram comments because they just crack me up, honestly. You know, it's such a different dynamic to be in a place where you've been on a show.
Yeah.
And people are watching it and they actually have no idea who you really are.
Yeah.
They are seeing the edited version of you.
Yeah.
And there's an instance or two in the show where, I was like, that didn't really show the real me.
Yeah.
But, I get it. It's, but everybody, like I said, everybody has an opinion behind that social media and they want to say it. And there was a couple ladies that this lady, if somebody made a comment, she got to make a comment, and first thing she said, well, Ty is blah, 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 blah. And I mean, it was just like
she's known you all her life.
A hater and bashing. And so I just started killing her with kindness. I was like, hey, I'm glad you were my number one fan. You are, because there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Oh, yeah.
And she was just wearing it out.
Yep.
And so I just killed her with kindness, and hell, they ended up kicking her out of the group. And I was like, man, why'd y'all do that?
Yeah, dude, you do handle it well, because I'll slip into the comments sometimes just to read them, and it'll be, which I feel like you're even more in a vulnerable spot because it's a dating show, and you're interacting with women, and if you don't do it exactly the way that they think you should, well, they're like, well, he's a womanizer, you know, they're gonna spin it bad. But
it's wild, you know. It's just like the same thing. You just can't make everybody happy.
Yeah,
you know. And I honestly, when I went into the show, you know, the first things that I thought about, one was, you know, wow, I'm gonna hate having to, you know, the first elimination. Like you talk, that was tough.
Yeah,
that was tough, and you're hurting someone's feelings that you don't know. I guess they hurting their feelings, like, because it hurt my feelings. You have to, you know,
that would be
that you don't know.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
But then through that process, you have to do that, and then everybody, of course, some people get it, some people don't.
Yeah.
But like I said, they just can't make everybody happy.
No.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
We do need to preface this episode. If you're watching and you haven't watched the finale yet, because this episode will drop the day after the finale. If you have not watched it yet, you need to go watch it, because there will be spoilers. So give everybody a warning there.
For sure.
But yeah, man, I don't know. That's one of the things when we watch it, like I tell my wife too, I'm like, man, I never enjoyed dumping a girl, period. So not only are you dumping her, but you're dumping her on national TV. Yeah. And does it get harder or easier as you go? Like, I feel like it's got to get harder.
Well, yeah, it does get harder. A couple of different little key points throughout this process, even just in casting. You know, they gave me, we all had a different number of ladies that we, you know, got to look at.
Yeah.
I had 26, and, you know, for casting purposes, they make you rank the ladies 1 through 26, and you talk about make you feel shitty.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
I mean, and they never knew, like, but for me, just having to sit there and look at these ladies and rank them 1 to 26, who I was most attracted to, location. I put a lot into it. It wasn't just she's an attractive lady. It was more for me. I'm 42. I'm older.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in some relationships and with some ladies that if they'd have lived closer, if I lived closer to an airport, it might have worked.
Yeah.
So I took all that in, but just having to rank somebody 1 to 26.
So at the end, did the one you pick ask you what her original rank was?
I had a conversation with some of the ladies one night, and they were like, oh. And I said, but let me show you why. And I might get in trouble for this, but I think probably all of us did. It's hard to keep from it, but like, we screenshotted, you know, the ladies.
Yeah.
And had pictures. Because we just got one picture. Those guys got one picture of the ladies and a name and a paragraph about them and location and occupation.
Yeah.
That's it.
That'd be tough.
You know, they got to see a video of us. But then you go through that, and then you have that first episode where we're having to let a couple ladies go home.
Yeah.
You know, and I had one that decided that she wanted to remove herself beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay. But, you know, it was part of the process.
Was that at the...
Oh, man, yeah.
That was the red dress.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
She was the red dress.
Yeah.
So...
Was that the one when y'all sat down on the couch? Like, something just... Because it was the one, it was kind of funny, you know, watching it.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of clips.
It got awkward. It was like, oh, gosh, yeah.
It'd be like sitting here and me asking you guys, what turns y'all on?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Like, why are you asking me?
That's right.
Why are you asking me that?
I forget. Yeah, dude, I do remember. My wife and I both were like, what the hell? Wow, man, she really put you on the spot.
She was trying to make the big splash right out the gate.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what was going through my head when we get off the mics. Because when she asked me that, all I was really thinking and why I was like, was what not to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah.
For network TV.
That's where, man, I would get in trouble. Like I could never run for public office because there's too many podcasts of things that I've said. Like they would go back. So yeah, that'd be tough.
That was a tough day. And then, you know, the first elimination, and you know, my crew there, the production manager, the producer, it's like, you know, I think you should eliminate somebody. And I was like, okay, you know, it makes sense. He's like, you're 42, you know what you want. I'm like, okay. But man, that was tough. And there's so many more different things behind the scenes, you know.
Yeah.
We all go through a whole lot when you first get there, and
really,
you know, they want to keep everybody separated and in your hotels, and you're pretty much on lockdown.
Yeah.
And, you go on vacation, you want to hang out in your hotel, that's great. But when you're not supposed to leave your room, that's tough.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Could you have a phone?
Yeah, we could have a phone, but it's just a different, it's a whole different mental kind of dynamic that you're in right there that, you feel like you're in jail.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want, do whatever you want.
How long was that time frame?
It just all depends. Like, there was like 2 days, a day and a half, like before the first episode. And then for the ladies, they all had to stay like 2 or 3 days in between, and then at that point, once they were coming back to the house, they were all in a hotel room and couldn't speak, anymore together in groups.
Oh, so they were separated.
They couldn't talk to each other. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so,
jeez.
So that creates a lot of what we call, and Brandon mentioned it on the podcast I did, it's a trauma bond. You go through this, and there's the reason why you bond so much, because you're the only ones that know what's going through your minds.
I couldn't imagine.
And I can sit here, and I can sit here and tell you guys, and you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Until you live it.
No.
It's just a different thing. But yeah. Then back to like that first elimination. God, that was tough. Man, like when I watched that episode, like it had me all in my feels again too, because it's, then I actually wasn't much of eliminations after the fact, but then you get to the finale.
Yeah.
But it's not that you're just breaking up with somebody once. You're on TV and you do everything for TV once, just 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody. Like, you do it once, you just got to do it 3 times.
Oh, the multiple takes?
Yep.
So they had you do multiple takes.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Man, I didn't even, I honestly didn't think about that at all.
Yep.
So the chick has to act surprised every time? Or
not necessarily surprised. It was different in each situation. A lot of the time, say like that, the first night that I let that Aaron go, we had that moment. But then it was, for me, a lot of times they would say, can we get you just to summarize that? Or, kind of, we need this little line.
Yeah.
Basically to summarize what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because I typically ramble and they're like, well, can we just get this?
Yeah.
So it was my words, but it was just tough because then you've got to do it a couple times. And so you're just sitting there in that emotion and, it's just like, damn, could I just ghost her right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be so much easier. But that is one of the situations where it does make you grow a little.
Yeah.
Even though then you step out of that world and you're like, damn, that was tough. But you end up doing it a lot.
Man, I can imagine. I didn't think about the multiple takes.
Yeah. Well, what about the whole, did you watch season 1 before you went through the process of which I don't even know, like, what was that process like? Deciding to do it, and I'm going to put myself out there. And
so I had a friend, was laying in bed one night, and she reached out to me. A guy named Cole Bigby, it's his wife, Brianna. She's an Instagram influencer. And they'd reached out, asked if they knew of anybody. And so she messaged me, but when they contacted me the next day about the show, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll look into this. So, of course, I binge watched the first season.
Okay.
And I was like, maybe I ought to do this.
You were like, I got way more flyness to me than these guys do.
No, not necessarily. Just and the reason why I did it, and I'll say this, and it's kind of one of them random things that, it's not like I can prove it, but I turned down season, I think, 3 of The Bachelor. Yeah. It was kind of like rodeo. I was at the national, it was the Dodge Finals rodeo. But anyways, like back in the day, they said, hey, this guy dropped out, and we need somebody right now. And if you say yes, we're going to come to your house and film. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. But so then being 42, being single, and then the what's neat about the show is the ladies come to your house. Yeah. And it's not like you're on some vacation or random place. You're doing these things, like they're coming to at least experience, in a way your home. Yeah. And get to see what it's all about. And so therefore, that vacation wears off a little bit. Yeah. And if they do enjoy it, then you would know that you really have somebody. Yeah. So that's the why. I did it because I wanted to find somebody. It was, for me, I thought a lot about it. Was it worth doing all this just to be on TV? No, not at all. Was it worth it to take the chance to find somebody? Absolutely. Yeah. My wife had made the same remark. She thought that because she used to watch, I don't remember if it was The Bachelor or Bachelorette, but she said she liked the fact that they come to the farm. And because I guess on those, they're at like a
like a fancy island. They eat like fancy dinner every night, and it's just not realistic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is cool to me that they came to the farm. So did you have to, like, when y'all would have the days to spend together, I mean, are you having to try to come up with activities? I mean, how do you?
There were times where, like my producer, his name's Will Lacey. He's a great storyteller, great guy. What are some things we can do? What were some projects that you have around? What, just give us a list.
Yeah.
What we got going. And so there were things like that. And there was a lot of things that we did that never made TV.
Really?
There were places that we went that never made TV.
Yeah.
Just wild.
Well, and that was one of the questions I had on just because obviously, every episode's 40, 45 minutes by the time you have commercials, and then there's 4 farmers. And so you've got like 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah. Isn't it wild?
And so it's like, over, was it 8 or 9 episodes, 10 episodes?
The whole thing for this season is what I guess we're going into. This is going to be the 12th episode.
Okay.
So then there's 13 is the finale. And then we did a reunion. We filmed a reunion too. So there's 14 total.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it was all pared down to like, it's just so condensed.
Yeah.
Like,
How do they cut it down so much?
So much that
I know.
you're like, your thinking's going to be on there and like, oh, they didn't even show that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, and there's 4 cameras at the house every day, 12-hour days. And, you're looking at least 2 to 3 days depending per episode of filming.
Yeah.
And then you throw that times 4. It's just
you can't even step around the barn and piss.
I don't even know how they go about condensing it all into that timeline.
Yeah.
Because then they've still got to tell a story. It's all got to make sense.
Yeah.
Right. You can't just like, this is a good piece of man, that's great. Like let's put this together. And then all of a sudden,
but it's like, well, that's too long. Yeah.
Yeah. Like got to make it make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'd be in trouble, man. I piss outside more than I do inside. Like a camera's around, I'd be messed up.
Yeah,
man. So it does get, I guess, progressively more difficult to send them home, because I'm assuming, obviously, if they stick around, you start to build some relationships with them.
Yeah. Well, for me, of course, I sent Erin home real quick into the situation, and the most difficult part about that for me was, like I said, they had just gotten to the house. She'd been through like 4 days of the trauma of like being in hotels and stuff. So that was difficult for me, because I was really kind of wanted her at least to get to experience something. Yeah. But then I think the next lady that went home was Amy. And I could tell anytime that we talked, she was 38 and she wants to be a mother so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I knew that I knew that she wasn't my person.
Yeah.
I knew that she wasn't my lady, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to give that to her just because of that. And so I struggled, should I send her home? But I really liked her. I really enjoyed Amy. Yeah. Great person. But I struggled, like, should I send her home now, or should I, try it? But then we just literally one day, she asked the producers and everything. She's like, hey, can I spend some time with Ty? Like, and just talk to him. I'm like, okay, yeah, y'all walk down this fence row here and just have a conversation, because we got to get it on camera. And next thing you know, the cameraman, the producer, they're all crying because they were after the fact, like, we had this real conversation that was never once interrupted. Yeah. And they were crying. They're like, shit. We've got to figure some shit out, because this has really screwed our timeline. Don't ever let us, let you guys just take off on a walk again, because we can't let this happen. No, like they didn't. They were joking, but it kind of did. Then we learned that there is a timeline of the episodes that they have, and actually the next day I believe is when Ashley was coming on the show. Okay, gotcha. So like that conversation, it wasn't really an elimination. It wasn't like sending somebody home, but it was just a very real, intimate conversation that we had that just needed to happen. And then there was Brooke.
Well, I got a kick out of that one, to be honest with you.
Well, because we're watched it, we're giving predictions, and I guess it was when y'all were at Clemson when she tells you, like, hey, I understand. And we're like, man, that's a cool chick.
Yeah, we were kind of pulling for it.
That's going to be the one. You know?
And then she suddenly just flipped the script. Well, we were laughing, I guess probably the week prior too, because she's like, you got to send someone home. And I think we jokingly were saying on here before we watched it, we're like, yeah, Ty's going to be like, you're right, I'm going to send your ass home. That's pretty much what you said.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where I kind of have to watch my, like P's and Q's and what I say.
Yeah.
But yeah, once she contradicted herself and made me feel crazy.
Yeah.
And then I was well, I know I didn't misunderstand that. And I know we've got video and audio of what she said.
Oh.
And
that's just typical woman. Like that don't
Hey, I tell you what, that's what I say. Like, everybody's crazy. And it takes the two right kind of crazies to mix.
Yeah.
And my crazy and her crazy wasn't gonna mix.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that one did it kind of tripped me out because you were like, well, we're on the same page, but it's you that's got to go home. Was that a multiple take one as well?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. But we were in that barn. I knew that like that was going to be a time frame where I was like, they made it look like she was coming out, to talk. And it was so cold that day. Yeah. I told everybody, I was like, I wish I'd have worn a sock cap because she comes out in white lace vest or something, like in a belly shirt. And I was like, damn, my nose, if you go back and watch, like my nose is beat red. It was like 42 and windy. Yeah. But she got to kind of talk and we talked about some stuff. And for me, like I had to have an opening to, move into it, right? Like move into that whole, like, you're not my person. Yeah. And she talked about communication. I was like, yeah, speaking of that, we're not on the same page. And I've been down that road before. Yeah. And I have been, made to feel crazy. And I knew that I wasn't going there again.
Well, that didn't seem like a multiple take one because her reaction seemed pretty, I don't even know the word. Very genuine in the moment.
There's just so much of that, and we can't get into it. That'd be a whole episode, and I'd probably get my ass sued.
Yeah, yeah. We don't want you to get sued. No, man.
But and I will say this: each lady in their own is a great person. They're all great, and they'll all find their person. Right? Like, but just when it comes down to it, the way it rolled out, she was not mine. And
well, the whole thing's just so unorthodox. Like it's I couldn't imagine.
It is, and I'm sure it takes the right kind of person, and I'm sure that's probably like what casting's job is, to make sure that when you put somebody in front of a camera that they don't go but
you don't want to you can't be boring to watch.
Well, that's what do you get the impression that the goal of the show was just to make good TV, or is it actually to help farmers find wives?
Yeah.
Because we know how season 1 ended up playing out.
It is. There is. Yeah.
Their job.
I'm not saying that they could do better. I don't really know what exactly they do and what they're told to do. Right. Yeah. I just know after the fact it was just there's a certain coolness, or it's like me going to New York City. Shit, I love going to New York City. Am I going to live there? No, because I want to have my horses. I would like to visit. So it's like the same thing. The ladies come into the house and doing that. But still, there's Clinton Anderson does a podcast, and he talked to a lady, and it's Melanie Smith, who owns like Solo Select horses. And he says, he's like, if you're in this and you love it, by God, you got to have somebody that's in the horse world, because it's an addiction. And he said, if you're going to live it, you have to have somebody with it. And if not, it's probably not going to work. And he even goes on to say, like, especially if you're a woman, you have to have a man that is in that world, because if not, a man is really going to, fall victim of like, what are you doing? Like, couldn't you come inside or hang out with me and not be with the damn horses? So
Bobby Lee can probably attest to that one.
Which I'm not as much of a horse person as my wife, but I grew up, spent a lot of time on the horse's back and grew up around it. But my wife is,
But you understand it, and you're in that the farm horse ranch world. There is a difference there compared to like just having housewife or a husband that comes home and then the wife's at the barn all night. Like that's just a different a different life. So, but yeah, coming back to the deal, would it be nicer if they were all kind of farm ladies? Yeah. I get razzed a lot about my ladies being younger, and I'm like, shit, they're all in their 30s.
I was gonna say they ain't that young.
No, I mean, I told casting, I was like, I'm not going to pick anyone in their 20s.
Yeah,
I will not.
Yeah, you don't want a 21-year-old showing up.
Yeah, even though I've learned that there are some ladies that are in their 20s that are more emotionally intelligent and secure than some that are in their 30s.
Yeah,
but you don't see that on TV.
No. Well, man, I was telling you, I can't remember if I was on air or off air, but talking about our audience is so torn.
Mm-hmm.
Some love the show, some are like, stop talking about the show. But man, I was talking to a buddy of mine today because I was telling him you were coming into town and do the show, and I said the thing about it, like, it shows farmers in a positive light,
mm-hmm.
and I said, and there is so much crap blasting farmers today that, man, I'm like, hell, I'm glad to see it.
Yeah.
Like, and like, is there some cheesy elements to it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but it's a dating show. Like, there almost has to be.
Yeah. It's like, well, why do you all watch the show? Did you watch it based strictly on the podcast, or did your wives kind of get into it and then you got sucked in?
Oh, my wife. Yeah. I can't watch it without my wife. I'd be in trouble.
So that's the whole part of it. Of
course, my kids love it.
Yeah.
they sit out and they're like, all right, well, this is network TV. There's a whole lot worse things to be watching.
It is friendly, family friendly too. Yeah.
I've got a lot of buddies that have daughters, and I have a daughter. She's 12, but I've got a lot of buddies that have little girls that are 6 to 8. And they're always sending me, messages and Snapchats, and it's, let's see Ty kiss Megan again, or, like, pick Megan, or but that's just kind of fun because they're all sitting there watching it together. And
well,
it's just different. It's neat.
It is, and I just appreciate some good stuff for farmers. I do think kind of what you're talking about with the bringing women into that world. Man, I think that farming, ranching, all that gets really romanticized.
Mm-hmm.
And I would blame Yellowstone and some of those on that. Yeah. Like, they see this, but it takes a certain person to be able to handle it. I mean, man, I've talked a lot about on the show here. One, like, for me, I'm in the row crop world. The amount of debt that I operate in is like astronomical.
Mm-hmm.
And then the amount of hours when it's planting time, harvest, like the amount of hours, I'm gone a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, same with I'm sure roping, you were gone probably quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, you gotta hone that. That's a craft like anything else. You got to spend a lot of time on that. I mean, and just all of that, the cattle stuff, dude, I don't think that people quite understand the commitment that it is. And I think women, I was going to ask you this question, I'll just ask you instead of walking into it, but what do you think it is that attracts women to, like, the farmer rancher thing? Is it like a masculinity thing? I mean, what do you think?
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just everybody's different. Everybody's going to be attracted to someone different or in a different way, what they do. For example, like with Melody, a lot of times on the show, she was like, "Oh, he's so masculine," and it's like, "Yeah, great, right?" Like, I'm like, let me flex my muscles here a little bit, but it's like you talk about it. It's a world that we live in, that you do something that you're working with your hands, whether it be row crop, farming, cattle, and you have to be dedicated to it to be good or succeed at it.
Yeah.
And if you slack off, then the results slack off. I think anymore, like, ladies see that dedication and they like that and maybe romanticize or fantasize about that. But then it takes that special kind of lady to then say fall in love with that person and then understand that it doesn't change. And they, like, not that they just have to fall in line, because it takes two. Yeah. But you also, that life, it's still going to be, it's still going to be demanding. Yeah. It's not going to, life doesn't back off. So I think once the ladies really realize that they don't just come in there and rock your world and it changes everything. It stays the same. Then that's what they
some of them had a hard time with it.
This is not exactly what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. And
let me ask you guys this: your wives, do they work with you all? Like, are they part of the business, or do they do other jobs? Because that's another thing about the show. Everybody's like, oh, she's, for example, like Brandon, right? He doesn't need someone to go out and, pick up potatoes.
Yeah.
He wants somebody that can support him.
Yeah.
Right. And be there. And when he gets home, like, man, Brandon, I'm glad you're home. Right. Like it's, but in this show, it seems like a lot of people are like on the Facebook stuff. Like they're all, oh, like she'd never make it on the farm. It's like, well, he doesn't necessarily need that. And I think that is a little bit different in my world where, it does take somebody that understands horses.
Yeah.
Like to be there, because I don't have to. I say I don't have to. I would enjoy riding with somebody and spending that time on horseback. And I've been married before. My ex, she didn't have anything to do with horses.
Yeah.
And over time, even though I made money with the horses, selling horses, and we, that's how we paid going on vacations and doing different things. But it was like, are you ever going to be just home?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, when we went to Disney World last year,
you didn't
what paid
that?
for that? It was that horse that I sold. That I took all that money. We went on that trip. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, I do really feel and kind of need somebody that's in that world.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good point. I mean, I'm opening a produce store. Like we're starting to get into the produce world on top of the row cropping, and my wife is like just as heavy in the mix of that as I am. And it works out great because she's not in the row crop. Like that's all me. If I suck her into it, it's to like, I need a ride. It's like, hey, I got to move the sprayer. I need a ride. Now, to her credit, man, she pulled my header trailer for me. This is a 35-foot header trailer, and she's pulled it for me. But I'll mess with her. I'm like, you need to learn how to do this so you can come plant for me and I can go spray. And she's like, I am not going to learn how to run this stuff. So, but she will jump in the mix. But that's, man, my wife was not a farm girl. I mean, she didn't grow up in the farm at all.
But she's probably got a little grit about her.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's the difference.
Yep, it is. And that's what, man, like, I think people do. That's a good point, honestly. I mean, people, they probably get a little harsh on the women because they're like, well, look at them, how they're dressed or something. And sometimes I am like, that outfit's probably going to make this job a little difficult. But they would adjust. They would eventually, after the show is over, if they stuck around, they'd be like, all right, well, this chafes my legs when I wear this or something, So they could adjust, I feel like.
Yeah, I get comments on YouTube sometimes like, we don't see your wife out helping you as much. I'm like, well, like she does. I mean, but yeah, like the day-to-day checking cows, messing in the hay fields. Yeah, operating a tractor. Right, she does not a whole lot of that. Now, when I go out of town to go duck hunting in the middle of the winter, she feeds cows and does everything. But her holding down the fort at the house, getting kids to and from different lessons and ball practice and school, and and I'm down at the barn late at night, she's taking care of everything else. And then stuff like you said, she's helped me. I need a ride because I'm trying to move hay home, and so I've got a truck and a tractor in the same place, so she's driving, pulling the trailer. I've tried to get her to rake hay for me a few times. I've yet to get her to actually do too much, actually
driving like that
in the seat of a tractor. But yeah. And my wife grew up, she always had horses. She was big in the horse world and in eventing, and then they always had a few cows, so she understands. But yeah,
and it sounds like they can, but they know if they do, it'll never stop.
That's a box. My wife definitely don't want to open that box.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah, my wife.
They're like, look, y'all want to stay married?
Yeah,
I'm going to stay off the tractor.
Yeah. Well, and just like you say, man, there is something really nice about, I can bust my butt all day in the field, and I come home and my kids have been took care of. They're in the bed, and I've got a warm meal waiting on me at the house, and my wife is there, and she might be going to sleep, but she greets me when I come home. And man, there's that is an element of it that's just as important as the rest. Because if she wasn't taking care of the kids when I'm planting till 11 o'clock at night, I mean, I'd have to come in and stop, and I'd be done at, I don't know, but 8 o'clock at night when I have to be in to tuck them in. So,
I mean, I've got lots of the guys that I rope with, they're all farmers. And so I get to see from a distance that world where, it's time to, planting season or harvest, and they're just 9-0.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, when we planned this, it was supposed to be raining. So I was spraying. I got off the sprayer at 2 o'clock and just came home, got a shower, and got ready. So, but it is cool in that I could flex it around. Like, I'm able to do that also. It's, it falls on me whether or not it gets done.
Yeah, correct.
So going down the line more, so I guess the latest episode that we've seen would be with Melody and Megan.
Yeah, because this will drop the day after the finale.
Yeah.
But as it stands, you just got back from your
New York
trip.
Yeah.
I did my best Woody Harrelson in the cowboy way.
That's right. That's a good movie.
That is a good movie.
I didn't get to dance on any stages or bars, but damn it, I would have.
Yeah. Well, you look like you did pretty good on the skating rink out there.
Fortunately, I'm fairly athletic. So,
you impressed me on the skates. It's like, oh wow, like he can skate.
I knew
not quite like her, but
no, hell no.
Yeah, I was waiting on you to do the spinning around, man.
Hey, I did. I could spin and skate backwards. I did.
Okay,
but I knew whenever I had 2 little slip ups, I was like, that shit's going to be on TV. They would put that on there.
Yep. Yeah, it's entertaining, man. Makes it more funny. Well, so I'll tell you kind of what our predictions are.
Yeah.
And then we'll get you to confirm or deny.
All right, let's hear it. And you probably got to say what your wives think too.
Yeah, I can tell you
probably
that.
on the same pages.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think mine.
I'm on different pages.
All right.
I'm on different pages I think even from Bobby Lee.
You might be. Yeah.
But so Melody, I said she follows our show.
All right.
And so I try to be pretty loyal to the listeners, and she follows the show, which I've always enjoyed.
Shout out to Mello.
Yeah, man, and I've always enjoyed her spunk, man. She just seems real spunky, and I like that. And so I have been pretty much team Melody. Now, if I was to step back and say Megan, Melody, who do I think would be the better fit on the farm? I mean, I'd probably say Megan.
Yeah.
And my wife would pick Megan. I think you said your team, Megan.
Yeah, because of course, again, I said earlier, like early on the show, I thought, man, Brooke seems like but then of course all that went sideways. Yeah, since you had the solo with Megan, I was like, oh man. Of course, some of it, I'm like, I don't know how much production is like editing it to make it, because they want to keep you on your toes.
Yep, for sure.
But yeah, I think ever since the solo with Megan, y'all out, on horseback, I was like, yeah, she's the one.
Oh yeah, she's saying, and both of them seem really
Melody has
cool.
grown on me.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, in the visit to New York, and I don't know, you can tell us if you were thinking this or they just made it look, but I got the impression, she's there, she's back in her environment, she's ice skating, and I'm like, man, like I don't know if I can see her. Moving to the Boot Hill of Missouri.
Yeah.
And I was like, I felt like I was getting that vibe from you too, where you're like, man, I don't know. So is that at all accurate?
So you're Melody, and then pretty much most everybody else is going with Megan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other
thoughts? and I want to, I'm making sure to add, like, I'm pretty much Melody because I'm supporting her because she's supporting the show.
Oh yeah,
I think she's awesome. But if I based it off of watching the show, how it appears, it would appear Megan probably has the edge. But I don't know, man. I'm torn. Both of them seem awesome, and your daughter seems like she jives with both of them.
Yeah.
So that's gonna if her and Megan seem to click really well, but it sounds like Melody and her do too. If Melody and her didn't click, I'd be like, Megan's got it hands down. But it seems like both of them get along with it.
Oh, yeah.
So
they just both have that great personality, and they're so different, but their personalities are very welcoming and kind.
Yeah.
And they are always so good to Lennon. And, she gravitated to the both of them.
Yeah.
She really loved Megan because Megan just had that little bit more, some people just really know how to jive with kids in a way.
Yeah.
And she, Megan's a teacher.
Yeah.
Melody comes from a big family, and man, they are fun and energetic. And I had a blast with her family.
Yeah.
Some people like talk about like, oh, he looked really uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't know why, because I had a damn ball.
Yeah.
I thought their family looked great.
Yeah. You know, when I was about to walk in the gate there in their backyard, and everybody, like the whole crew, you know, because there's like 20 something people that we travel with.
Yeah.
Wow. And, you know, some of the sound guys are like, they're a lot. I'm like, you know, and I could hear them because like they were on the backyard fence, and I could hear them, and I was like, what do you mean a lot? And they're like, there's a lot of energy. And I was like, hell yeah. Because I flow with whatever energy you bring. Yeah. And if it's a great energy, man, I'm in it. But if it's like womp womp, I'm like, ugh. It's not like I can't hardly pick it up. But anyway, they were both great to Lynn, and so shout out for that for them. But you're both wrong.
Both wrong.
You're both wrong.
Oh wow.
So
that's
what
a twist?
What happened?
I did not choose either of them that day on the finale.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is Melody knew, you know, Melody and I at that point, you know, when we come into the end, like great friendship. We were doing our thing. We went to the family visit, had a great time. But she knew, and I knew, like, you can't. She had that. What I did love about her, she had that New York grit to her. If there was anything going on at the house, you know, she wasn't going to back away, shy away, or be like, I can't do this. Like, golly, she was like, I'm doing it. Yeah. And I'm going to, you know, if everything would have been a competition, she probably would have won. Yeah. Right. Like, but then Megan, you know, that was tough, man. Golly, you talk about a breakup that was probably the most difficult in my life. Yeah. And because the way she talked about it, and we did, we first had I'll go back to the very beginning with both of them. How about that? Yeah. And our first little speed dates, episode 1, Melody sat down, and it's warm. We're in Alabama. She kind of like wiped some sweat like off of her brow or whatever, and she's like, "Whew." She's like, "Man." She's like, "All right, let's do this." And I was like, "Damn." I was hooked right there. I was like, that just was great. Yeah. You know, she was like, "I'm nervous, but I'm here and let's go." Yeah. And her energy was great. And I picked her for the solo date because I was like, I was in. Yeah. And she was my number 1. Yeah. And
so I was right on that pick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because I liked her energy. I loved it. And then with Megan, you know, we had that, and we had actually some friends in common, and she'd been around like the rope and pin and been a part of that world, which is surprising to me. I had no idea of that.
Yeah. Well, they don't even mention that on the show.
No, they sure don't. Mm-mm. Yeah. And so we had that connection there as well. And of course, you know, Melody getting that first solo date, we got to spend quite a bit of time together. Of course, you're not, you know, 24 hours alone and together, like, but we spent a good time together. But then I've soon realized that it was going to be difficult for her to actually up and move. Yeah. I mean, let's be real. She's great, and she's a travel nurse, and she could be anywhere, but it doesn't mean you want to be anywhere. Yeah.
Especially with a big family like that.
And then once I started feeling that, you know, I know that, you know, she at some point, someday she's going to want to have kids too. So therefore we're fighting a losing battle. Yeah. You know, we're fighting two things. We're fighting distance, and we're fighting, you know, a 10-year age gap to where she needs to be a mom. She comes from a big family. She'll be a great mom. Yeah. And then with Megan, she, same thing, like, man, she's great. And I ended up going through some certain little things like that was all off camera that I was just not burnout. Man, I got kind of aggravated on one day, and it was hard for me to let it go. But then, and it was right after my roping. But then that's when Megan and I's date was. Yeah. And literally it was just like, man, I told her, I was like, this is, you literally single-handedly in this date turned like this around, because I was struggling. Yeah. And we really bonded, and, you know, that was great. It was a great date. And so we really came together right there and kind of had that bond. But then it's one of those things too. Like, I know that she's going to be a mom. She needs to be a mom. Has to be a mom. Like, she's so great with Lennon. And I just know that I just felt that she really wasn't my person. Yeah. You know, like, I just didn't have that. If we were not on TV and in front of these cameras, you know, is she my person?
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel that 100%.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I really stayed true to the TV process with her and didn't let her know that. You know, I know heads up a little bit for the finale.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to, but damn it, I wish I would have, because it would have made that day not easy.
But a little better, a little easier, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it blindsided her, and it broke me.
Yeah.
And like I talked about, I had to do that I asked the guys a couple times. I'm like, now we're gonna have to do this like 3 times, because I can't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. Yeah, we had to do it like 3 times, and man, that sucked so bad. You know, with Melody, it was like, okay, here we are. She shows up, and she's like, hey. I'm like, well, you know, fortunately, you know, you're not my person. She's like, okay, yeah. But I don't know. Like I said, we haven't watched it on TV yet.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they'll actually show. I tell her, I'm like, look, I just also want to let you know I'm not picking Megan either. And just her jaw dropped to the floor. It literally was like that. She was if she'd been a different shoes, thinking that she was going to get picked and didn't. Like, that was her reaction, because she knew that I was going to pick Megan too. Yeah. And then when I told her that, it was just tough.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I broke up with her first, and then I come back and then have to do it all over again with Megan.
Man,
that was a tough day.
Yeah. Dude, I can imagine. I mean, like I said, I don't like dumping a chick, period. So.
Which we've been saying, because ever since, again, season 1, I think by the time it aired, Hunter and Megan were together. They were the only ones that were still together by the time the show actually aired.
And now she's done married
somebody else.
Whoa. What the hell, social media?
Yeah. So whatever. But
we don't need to touch that.
Yeah. But I'm just like, this was going to be the same way as last one. Like, nobody's going to end up together.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I am the only one that did it like that, and they didn't try to convince me to pick anybody. But it also, of course, for TV, you know, everybody wants. Yeah, they wanted you to 95% of everybody. If I'm picking somebody, like, pick Megan. Of course, you're gonna pick Megan.
You got to pick somebody. Yeah.
And you know, I don't know what it's gonna be like. You know, when that airs and the reaction. Well, it'll just be the same as it's been all year. 50% are going to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And some people are going to be like, great, you didn't deserve her anyways. And there's all of this and all of that. But, you know, we're actually still friends. I talk to her quite a bit. We've all got a big Snapchat group, a handful of us.
Yeah.
And, you know, usually Megan and I will talk at least after the show.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what do you think, Farmer Megan? She's like, hey, Farmer Ty, you know, what'd you think about this episode? You know, we kind of... But that's the thing, and boy, I tell you, going back to that, I was about to say, you know, we're really good friends, and I did drop the friend line in that breakup. Boy, I just sit there. It just still makes me shake my head, because whenever I said that, I was like, I screwed up.
Yeah.
Because then in her eyes, I'll never. She was like, huh? Friend, what?
Yeah.
You know, what have I been doing? And I was like, it was like I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
But there's no other way to take that word. Yeah. Ooh, that's going to be a tough one for me to watch.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
So that'll be the finale.
That'll be the finale.
Man.
And then we'll have the reunion.
Yeah.
Now, how was the reunion?
It was great. That was just a whole different experience. That was a whole different ball game, because we all know everything that's gone on, you know, but we come together, and like, that was the first time we got to see any clips from the show.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting there, all the guys came to my place for my roping.
Yeah.
And, you know, they got to experience my place, my house, but then we're watching these clips, you know, and they're getting our reactions. And I'm like, man, where's that? And I'm like, oh shit, that's Nathan's farm, or that's Brandon's farm. Like, wow, that's so cool, because here we are, we know them, and we created this bond, but
you never really got to see their place.
I never got to see what their places were like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hell, Brandon is freaking 4 hours from an airport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that's what we talked to him. We were like, man, we want to get you in studio.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that would be awesome. But he said, man, I'm 4 hours from the nearest airport.
Yeah.
Good gosh.
That's such a different deal too. Like, whenever I decided to do the show, just going through casting, I told this to everybody. I was like, I don't know how a legit farmer, and this time of the year, and then let alone didn't even know when we were going to film. I was like, I don't know how a farmer could do this.
Be away that much?
Well, no, not even that. Like, just me going through casting, you got to do it. You do the pics, you do background check, you do a psychological test, then you do, like, you talk to a psychologist, you do FBI fingerprints. I mean, it was a crazy part-time job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the last thing I want is for like you to pop up as a registered
psychopath,
sex offender. Like,
of course,
you
go through all of that.
Yeah.
But it took so much time, and I was sitting there thinking, like, I don't know. I was thinking about my buddies that are farmers that rope and do all this, and I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
But he's got a great support system, and he's got partners in the farm, and then his dad. And
which he did say his dad was like, "When are you going to be back?" He said his dad.
It's all fun and games until like you miss too much work, and then you're like, "What the hell's going on?"
Yeah,
But like season 1, it seemed like they had a, just because following different ones on social media, they still hang out. I know. Well, Landon, because again, Allen's from my wife's hometown. Mule Days, the big festival. Landon was in town.
Where is he from again? Where was Landon from?
Oklahoma.
Okay, yeah.
But and I was disappointed because I was actually there that weekend, but we didn't go to Mule Day. We were there for my daughter was doing an eventing show in Nashville, and so I was like, should have gone. I could have made.
Yeah, you need to be like, man.
Both of them.
Yeah, when you gonna get your ass on the show is what you should ask. Yeah.
Just pull your rig right in here.
Yeah. Which, of course, thing a lot of people make fun of. I'm like, the two dudes formed a better relationship than the girls.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, you really do.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing for me, and my story's different from everybody else's, right? Like, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It sucks, really. Like, because when I went into it, I really thought like this is why I did it.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's brought a lot of opportunity. Brought the friendships of the guys, and you do, and I can't speak of what it's like, serving in any part for the country, for in being, Army, Navy, Air Force, or any of that. But there's a reason why those guys have that bond and that brotherhood, because they go through that.
Yeah.
What we go through is nothing like that, but it's still
unique.
A trauma. Like there is a trauma to it. Like, and it's that drama bond, that trauma friendship.
It's so odd because like none of the rest, like 99.99% of us have no idea.
Yeah, and you can't really. You're so consumed, like 12-hour filming days.
Yeah.
We'd go through that, and then like at night, like I would go over to the house, because I had a house, like a little farmhouse whenever I bought my place that was separate, and then the ladies lived in the house that I live in now. So I could go, back and forth. But at night, I just go over there and hang out with them. And, we just chill and relax, watch TV, watch a movie, BS with each other and just hang out and then just enjoy it. But then, like, we'd go somewhere for the mixers and the events and hang out with the guys. And, we just, like, what's going on, man? Like, how you doing? They were always worried about us saying too much off camera about what had been going on, and we're like, look, we don't really want to talk about that. We're just like, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
Like, things going good for you?
Let's talk about something else.
You're exhausted yet? I tell everybody, like, give me a shovel and let me dig a trench for 8 hours a day, and I would rather that would have been easier work at the time, I feel like, than 12 hours worth of filming. Like, that's the only way I can compare it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense, but it was literally just not emotionally exhausting because of like the drama or ladies. It's just because it's a whole different world. It's a different experience, and it's something that your body and your mind isn't used to, that you have to go through. Yeah,
man, I have definitely never done any like reality shows or anything, but I dabbled in film when I was about 18, 19, and I worked on some sets. Actually, Luke Perry, I worked on one film with Luke Perry, but I was just a background. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, he was not very friendly, which I was bummed because I love the movie 8 Seconds and all that. That's like my wife's one of her favorite movies. But he wouldn't even talk to the guys that were not like part of the big crew. But we would shoot some scenes. I think we shot one scene like 16 times. Yeah. And I was like, dude, by the end of the day, you are wore out. Mm-hmm. And it was an all-day shoot. So, I can't imagine if you add into the fact that this is now, okay, I'm not portraying some character. Like, this is actually my life. Mm-hmm. I actually have to have emotion with it. Like, I can't imagine.
like I thought whenever in my mind before the show started, that I was like, I'll get some outside horses, because I'll have to have something, ride some horses, do some stuff. Hell, I didn't even have time to ride my own.
Yeah.
I didn't, before my roping that I put on, they were like, all right, because you have your mixer crew that's completely separate from like your farm.
Yeah.
And it's its own little deal that they travel around and do everything. And man, you talk about a production and operation. Like I think they talked about like almost 200 people when everybody came together, and they were moving stuff in for like 2 days to my house. Had lulls and lights. I got 50 acres, and they lit up the whole damn place. And that's one of the things you don't really notice anything every time you watch TV. Like there's never darkness in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Something's lit up. You can see something. But anyways, they just there was just so much to it, and they were worried about me, like being consumed with those guys. Like if they ask you all these questions, just tell them like you're doing this and being a part of your roping. And I'm like, look, I'm used to getting hammered with questions and being stressed out the day of my roping. I was like, why don't y'all let me go practice for my roping? They're like, okay, good point. Like in their mind, like they had no idea, like maybe I should prepare for my own event that I'm having.
They think you're just natural, man. You just you don't have to, man.
Yeah, I was actually like high call back in my roping that day, and I actually just thought I missed, but fortunately, everything being on camera and pictures, I roped 2 feet with this guy, and I think we paid $2,500 to win it, and I've never actually won one of my ropings. And it was high call back, was going to win it, and my rope got caught in the cow's tail and just slipped down.
Oh, man.
Of course, I was pissed. Get off my horse, and like I go back to the barn. And of course, all the roping's still going on, and the guys that helped me with the roping, they were really good, and kind of just went through the rest of the day and taking care of it. But I get in my barn, and I'm not a good loser.
Yeah.
And I love to win. I'm not a good loser. But I got in my barn, and there's 6 cameras and 3 other farmers, and they're like, hey, you ready to film? And I was like, hell no, I'm not ready to film. Give me a damn minute. They're like, okay. And I'm like, look, I just screwed up for just $2,500.
Just missed out on some good payout, man. Give me a second.
That'd have gone a long ways. But just so many. It's just wild.
Yeah. Do you get paid anything? I mean,
we did get paid.
Because I was going to say, man, some of these people, I mean, they're leaving. I mean, I guess all of you are pretty much leaving a job to come do that. Yeah.
And so little known fact, I just started insurance adjusting last summer. And I guess I'll preface the fact by like, yes, I'm a team roper. Yeah. And they were curious about the fact, like, hey, if we say you're a team roper, will people question that? And I'm like, no, I've sold horses to guys that have been to the NFR and and sold some really good horses to them. Nobody would question the fact that I'm like can train horses and I'm a horse trainer and team roper. Yeah. But if you're a professional team roper, you're either been there and made it or you're trying to make it. Yeah. Right. And anybody else that rodeos, they have some sort of job that is in the industry, or they've got a day job and then they go compete on the weekends. So, like that's really the first time I've even mentioned that. Yeah. On anything other than, but that's a job that I'm fortunate enough to have now, and
gives you that flexibility.
Yeah, it gives me flexibility, and that's I could have made more working a storm than I could have the show. Yeah. But then also I was like, once I knew that I was going to do it and hopefully find somebody, I was like, there's always going to be another storm or another job that I can go do there. And it's created a once in a lifetime experience. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like, man, there's got to be, are you seeing some pretty cool opportunities? Besides the coolest being that you get to come hang out with us,
right? Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, are you seeing some cool opportunities from that?
I haven't really pushed myself in a way of like, this sounds so weird to say, and I guess it's just kind of like the Western cowboy, like us guys sitting around talking like, they talk about like, oh, probably get you an agent. Yeah. And I just never did, and I knew that I wanted to or should have, and I just didn't. But other than that, like, a lot of times, things don't just randomly come to you. Yeah. In that kind of world, like, because I know like Nathan's pretty good, and maybe Mitchell, they're younger, and they've kind of putting themselves out there in a way. Yeah. And as much as I would like to do certain things, you know, I'm not good at putting myself out there. I'm not good at promoting myself.
Yeah. Man, you need to be, man. Like, what's Forey J. Smith that's in Yellowstone? He's like, I mean, that dude is legit cowboy. Yeah. And man, I love Forey because he just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
He has a bunch of endorsement stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what, but like, hell, he's 60 something years old and really just now catching his stride, which if you look back, I think wasn't he in Tombstone? I think he played like
maybe a head part in or something.
A background part in Tombstone or something. Yeah. So he's always done that stuff, but that's what I'm like, man, Ty might get a phone call from old Taylor Sheridan or something, you know?
We did an interview the other day with Taste of Country, and she was like, yeah. So I was like, look, throw it out there, put it out there. I'm not saying I wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, because it is a thing. Once you get a taste of it, you know, I know each of us, I'm pretty sure, maybe I shouldn't speak for all of us, but going through it, you ask the question, would you do it again? We're like, hell no.
Yeah.
You know, but then you step away from it, and you're like, damn, that was exhausting, but it was just different. It's wild. You know, there were days where I put my phone down. I'd go to the bathroom, you know, I'd put my phone on the toilet, and 6 hours later, I'm like, where's my phone? You know, how often in this day
do you
think, where's my phone? I haven't had it all day.
Yeah.
And for me as well, you know, being in the horse world and then also in the insurance adjusting world, like I'm typically by myself, which I don't mind.
Yeah.
But then with that being around, like that's why it's fun coming and talking to you guys. It's fun talking about the experience. It's fun, you know, interacting and engaging with all those people.
Yeah.
And everybody comes from a different background. Shit, we did a photo shoot with Fox after the camping trip. That episode, we stayed a day later in that place and did a 12-hour photo shoot. And what was wild is a lot of the guys that, you know, you have your cameramen, and then you had the people that like hair, makeup, and everybody came from a different place. But a couple of the guys, I think they were from South Dakota, you know, Kimes jeans rolled up at the bottom.
Yeah.
You know, just cowboy.
Yeah.
And holding the reflector. Been in the entertainment industry his whole life. Just legit cowboy.
Yeah.
Right? Like you just wouldn't expect it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, everybody that came from somewhere, like the two transportation guys. They were welders from Montana.
Really?
Yeah. Flew from Livingston, Montana to LA, got in the truck, drove to Sikeston, Missouri.
They drove from LA to Sikeston?
Yep. Oh, and then, hey, we go to New York. They take that whole, you know, 20-something foot long box truck, drive it to New York, take all that equipment.
Man, I will say I've been to New York. That's where my wife and I went on our honeymoon, and I love New York City. Like, it is just a fascinating place. It is far too much concrete for me to ever live there, like I said, but it is a cool place.
It's an experience.
Yeah.
And it's also, and I'll say this, the number one place that I get looked at and like with my cowboy hat on is my hometown.
Yeah.
You know, and like not necessarily that somebody would know me, but I went to New York. And man, I'd see people like somebody take pictures or smile or, you know, you're not judged.
Yeah.
Literally everybody's just open to it. And they're like, oh, that's cool. Cool hat.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm cowboy. Like, I was like, I really, it felt good, to be honest.
Well, I would say that here. I feel like the place because I was telling you, I don't remember if we were on air. I can't keep track of my time. But you know, I got a cowboy hat and I love my cowboy hat. And I'll bust it out sometimes when I'm working at the store. But I feel like, I could go anywhere but here and wear my cowboy hat, and it's going to be more awkward here. Because, people are like, well, I mean, we've had cattle all our lives. I don't consider myself really a cowboy. I've told Bobby Lee he earned his stripes because he got smoked by a bull out here last year. But like, man, I mean, there are guys that, they're like, well, that guy ain't, you know, what's he doing wearing a cowboy hat?
That's it. And what everybody loves about that small hometown feel also has a direct, you know, negative effect sometimes. And that's what it is. Yeah. You know, I'll even follow it up by say going to Nashville. When I was walking around there for the hometown day with Megan, of course, there's cameras on us, right? But, you know, everybody's like, who are you? Or you're probably famous, or, you know, and they weren't judging me in a negative way, but it wasn't like in New York, it was, I'm like, oh, cool. You know, like cameras or not, it just didn't matter. Like you were just somebody else. They're used to seeing anything and everything. And, you know, a cowboy hat is just like different and cool.
Yeah. They were surprised you had clothes on.
Yeah.
with the cowboy hat. Yeah, dude. That was before we went to New York. I had several people that were like, "You're gonna hate New York. Everybody's rude in New York." And I mean, I'm sure I know Sykeston is similar because I've been there. We had to go pick up combine parts there one time, but here you wave at everybody and stuff. But man, people were super nice in New York. My problem was we'd be walking down the sidewalk, and this was back in 2015. People were like, one dude was handing out CDs and all this stuff, and they'd turn and say something to me, and I would talk to every one of them. Yeah. And my wife was like, "Stop talking to everybody." It'd be like a homeless guy, and he'd be like, "Hey," and I'd even be like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And my wife's like, "Stop talking to everybody." And I'm like, I feel like a weirdo not acknowledging them. Yeah. So man, I don't know. I dig it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, we ended up staying over an extra day and instead of flying home and watched the first episode. And like I tell everybody, these boots have walked a lot of miles in every city that I've been to this year, because I'm bad about just the last night or some night there. Just wherever we're at, it might be a mile or two, and I'll walk from wherever we were at just back to the hotel. Yeah. And I walked is basically like, if anybody knows, from Madison Square Garden back to the south side of Central Park. Yeah. The last night, and of course, obviously, I'm fortunate to be a male. Yeah. I mean, I would never want my daughter to walk, as a grown up, in the New York City at night. Yeah. But man, it's not as busy. It's not crowded. You can see everything for what it is. Yeah. When were you there? What was the month? Well, of course, I got to go twice. I got to go for the hometown, and then I got to go back for when we were doing the promotions for the premiere. Okay. Yeah. Which was two completely different experiences. One, when I did the hometowns, like talked about, we had the transportation guys that, they had a 2-day trip up there. Yeah. So I got 2 days in New York City. And I had 3 rules. Don't get arrested, don't change your hair, and don't get a tattoo. Okay. Yeah. And then I walk into a barbershop and like, let me get a trim. I don't really know what the hell he did, but I'm lucky that I was wearing a cowboy hat because he took way too much off the top. Did you get any tats? No, but I've always wanted another one. I've got one, but I'd always wanted another one. Well, man, I still think, I don't know, we went through the New World Trade Center. We saw the fountain, which that was pretty awesome to see. We went into, we didn't know what we were doing. We're tourists. And man, we walked in, we thought we were going to see the fountain or something, and we walk underground and we're going into this thing, and we start passing guys. There were several dudes with AR-15s. Oh yeah. And they had some guys had briefcases. I finally told my wife, I was like, I don't think we're in the right spot. And we were actually entering the New World Trade Center, which is not for tourists. It's business people. And so I was like, we need to get the hell out of here. Yeah. And so we turned around and got out, but nobody ever said anything. But man, I don't know. I plan to go back because it was just a cool place. And absolutely. So, but yeah, dude, I one question I will ask, and I'm not going to ask about all the rest of the guys, except this: is anybody still with their choice? Yep. Okay. Yep.
That's good to hear.
That's encouraging.
I can still believe in love.
Yeah. You can still believe in not just love, but reality TV.
In reality TV, telling us the truth.
There is a couple for sure, if not two, but that I would be surprised if they don't get married.
Really? Well, that would be such a drastic turn from season 1.
It is a crazy life, but
oh gosh, regular life is crazy.
Every time,
it's got to be Mitchell and Sydney.
It could be. Who knows?
We pegged them from the get-go.
And then Nathan and
which that's when
Taylor
when they did the family meetups, which they didn't really help you because they liked them both, and everybody else, it's like their family totally threw a wrench in everything. Yeah. It's like, no, Mitchell and Sydney were destined, and then of course Mom wants grandkids, and is it Kate? Yeah. She's like, no, I want to have kids right now. I'm like, and then
see, here's the thing. I could spill the beans for everything right now because like I said, this is going to air later. But I ain't gonna tell you. I ain't gonna spill the beans on everybody else. Y'all gonna at least have to watch the show and enjoy that part of it.
So, and you mentioned you and all the dudes said probably wouldn't do it again.
in the moment, but
Yeah.
I think we probably would.
No.
I mean, look, I'd say if they asked me again, like, hey, we're going to have a golden farmer. Because I was like, it's kind of funny. I got thinking, if that hadn't come out, I'd probably been the oldest bachelor on reality TV before that happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so what advice would you, because we have a younger audience, Lord knows if one of them might be a future.
That's what I was going to ask you. This is good.
What advice would you give besides go for it? Yeah. But
like if a farmer to go on this show.
Yeah.
It's hard to give advice because you just, I'd say, and I don't know, but I'm sure that my experience, say with my producer, and then, I was trying to think of one of the guys from last year. But, like my experience might have been different from their experience.
Yeah.
And then my experience is completely different, say, from Brandon's. Everybody's dealing with a whole different dynamic with producers and your crew and the show.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had some stuff that happened behind the scenes that was really, really difficult. And, which was really tough.
Yeah.
And had that not have happened, I'd have loved every minute of it just for the experience. But you have to go through that negativity or that drama to really appreciate something. And that's one of the things I try to teach my kiddo. You're going to remember something if it didn't go right or if it was bad. Not just enjoy it. Just when you decide to do it, know that you are giving up control.
Yeah.
Of just what your life is at that moment. Well, and just to enjoy that part of the process.
And that was kind of another question we talked about a little bit, but like, do you feel like through however many episodes have aired so far, that when they do the final edit and everything, they portray everything fairly accurate?
When Ashley came to the house, I knew, I'm not going to say I knew, I had a fairly good assumption of how each lady would react.
Yeah.
And I was pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
What they did not show was I'm a fairly empathetic person. I'm a feeler. Like, I've got feelings. I'm not perfect by any means. But I also sat down with each of them and was like, I understand that this is like you being cheated on openly, blatantly. I mean, here I am. I'm bringing another lady back into the house that you're living in.
Yeah.
And I understand that. And I'm not downplaying that at all.
Yeah.
And let's talk about it and let's figure it out. And there was one of the ladies, they didn't show that. And it kind of made me seem not that way.
Yeah.
And so that was a little difficult, but I understood why they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and like I said too, some people, like, you all got it.
Yeah.
Like you saw the aftermath of, but some people don't.
Yeah.
And they see it in a whole different perspective, and I'm okay with that because I can't change their mind.
Dude, there was a chick last season. It's that chick that Alan had that we would talk about how crazy she was. And like, I can't remember her name now, but
I'm
she
trying
was.
to even remember who
she
it
was a nut. I mean, she just and the blonde.
Yeah,
she was crazy as hell. I never met her, but I'm like, editing can only do so much. That chick was crazy.
There's a different kind of crazy when you put it out there to the world, and the kind of crazy where you don't really know it.
Yeah, I don't think she knew it.
Well, I'm saying, like, she knew it and she was putting herself out there, right?
Oh,
like, you see it. You see that crazy.
Yeah.
Then there's the other kind of crazy where somebody's crazy and it might take you a lot to realize it or figure it out. And then once you're like, some people do and some people don't.
Yeah. But it was funny, man. There was people in the comments that they loved her. Yeah. And they'd be like, Alan, you piece of crap, like blasting. And I'm like, dude, this chick was nuts. Like, this chick's crazy.
I actually reached out to Alan a while back. He had some sort of Watusi Longhorn cross looking thing. And I was like, he said, I forget what it was, and I asked him a couple things and I was like, are you glad it's over? Is it kind of nice to get back to your life? And he goes, never stops. It's just different.
Yeah.
And I get that. And, we talk back about like the Luke Perry, people might be nice. And a little shout out to Jennifer Nettles. She was a charm.
Awesome.
Like, she was great.
Yeah. She seems really nice.
I love Jennifer Nettles. I love Jennifer Nettles, like, as a country singer back in the day. And then when she was the host, I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
I was like, she's single?
Yeah.
But she's not.
No.
But, I can't help it. Anyway,
well, she is good looking.
She is a great person,
Oh, yeah.
and she is salt of the earth. And her brother actually makes some knives, hand makes some knives, and sending some to us. So that kind of explains the kind of
Did y'all
salt
go
of
to
the
that
earth
or
people.
something?
Do what?
Did y'all go to his place?
No, we
Brandon
didn't go to his
had
place,
shared
but
something.
we posted a deal where he made us some knives, and we haven't
Gotcha.
got them yet. But like that's pretty exciting, And he just, I don't know if he did it or like she paid him to do it, but like just the fact of the matter, like giving us a gift to because of being a part of it. But you talk about people asking you things and doing stuff, and it's fun talking about it.
Yeah.
And then, but there is times where you get that, who'd you pick? Like, yeah, you don't really want me to ruin it for you.
Yeah.
You really don't.
Yeah.
How come on?
Yeah.
And so I can see where, and like, look, we're not famous at all. We're just recognizable, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not famous.
Yeah.
I'm still the same person doing the same thing in my everyday life that just happens to get recognized a little bit. And
but man, now
you get into a way where it's like, I think there's people that drive down my road because like all my stuff's put out there because of my roping.
Yeah.
And that's different.
Yeah.
Like that kind of, it
That'd
does
be kinda
change your
weird.
mentality a little bit.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what it would be like on a large scale. I can't imagine.
You'll
what,
be there.
what
Just give it a
those
little
people go
time.
through.
Taylor's going to call you.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I know from like with YouTube, which I'm a really small fish on YouTube, but some of the bigger YouTube channels.
Bobby Lee's gone to bed, and there'd be a dude in his bed.
Well, like some of the bigger YouTube, they have to like put up like it's not okay if you just show up on our farm. And like we put ourselves out there on YouTube, but it's not a petting. Like you can't just show up, and like apparently some of those big ones they have to deal with that.
Demolition Ranch. Have you ever seen that guy?
I don't think so. Yeah.
He does a lot of gun YouTube stuff, and his wife had a side business, and they like had to stop her business because people were getting the address. He said people were showing up at his kid's school trying to see him.
Wow.
And he was like, that is not okay.
Yeah,
so like,
no doubt.
like they had to like seriously dial it back. And I mean, they have to get like security now.
Yeah. I had a lady show up at my house the other day, pulled in there, and I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
Because, not too many times does somebody random pull in your drive. And the way she got in, it was a lady. She was an older lady. And she was from town.
Yeah.
And she talked about knowing, like, my mom's cousin. But she was like, oh, my God, I'm such a fangirl. And I was like, well, thanks. And she had a paper in her hand, and I could see that it was a flyer to my roping.
Yeah.
She said, well, I just want to let you know that your map's wrong. Well, the map of the picture's right. But, it should be 4 miles east and not west. And I was like, well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. But that's an older one. We changed that. And, well, okay, I just want to let you know. Thanks. Like, I sure enjoy the show. And it's sweet, but it does make you think a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with anything other than it's not weird. It is somebody really being personable and friendly, but you just don't know because what's
There's
the
a
next
lot of
person gonna
weirdos
do?
out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what because I like my kids. I don't shy away from putting them out there on like in the YouTube videos, but I know a lot of people who don't, and I'm like, well, my channel's just not that big, and like part of me's like, I don't know, maybe I hope it doesn't ever.
I don't put mine often on like my Instagram. Like every now and then I'll throw up a picture of my kids, but like just from growing Instagram, that's where I'm kind of like hesitant now because I'm like, man, it's just so many freaking weirdos.
Yeah.
Which you're basically from the same area as us. We're fortunate where we live too. We live in a fairly sane part of the country.
Yeah.
There's crazies everywhere, but like you get into, especially like the animal agriculture, some of those guys on the West Coast and whatnot.
Oh gosh,
Like
yeah.
they have to deal with all kinds of activists and stuff. And I'm like, yeah,
people that
fly.
are so one-sided on everything.
Like my neighbors would shoot them before they ever even got to my place. We don't have to worry about it, but we're all pretty like-minded around here. But anyway, yeah.
It's just like anything else. If you're going to have good, it's going to come with some bad. And
Yep.
And hopefully there's some good that comes out of the bad.
Well, man, I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens. I don't know. I just, for some reason, I picture some, I picture some cool stuff coming out of it from you. I could definitely see you doing some film stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a world you want to step into very much, but I feel like if it is, I would say the possibilities are there.
That's film world and everything's a little bit different because And look, I appreciate that. I appreciate those kind words. It's great. And don't get me wrong. I'll give my hand. I'll try it. Right. But it was kind of funny. One of the main camera guys, Rob, and then like my producer, Will, we would go through and we would do these, what they call master interviews.
Yeah.
And so anytime that you see, me talking and I'm sitting down in my barn, that's typically like what a master interview was. And I told them a lot of times, like, that was almost like a therapy session, because you're sitting there and you're going through these days, or you're talking about your life before the show and what you're wanting and expecting and hoping. And then, halfway through it, you're talking about how it's going and where you've been and what you're doing. And then at the end, you kind of reflect on all of it. And I said something at one point one day, and I said, yeah, maybe I should sign up for acting. They're like, oh, really? But they said something. I made a comment. Let me back up. I made a comment, and then they were like, oh, really? And I was like, no. Like, no, I don't feel that way at all. And I said, maybe I should be an actor. And Rob, I'll never forget it. I laid awake in bed that night, and I fall asleep fast. Like, not much keeps me up. And I laid in bed that night because he said, there's a difference between pretending and acting.
Yeah.
And I told him, like, a week or so later, we were talking about some stuff, and I was like, that just stuck with me. And he was like, yeah, we're spitting out some real life shit around here. But, that just carries over more to just that. Like, an actor is portraying the whole world, a person, and being that themselves. Yeah. If you're just pretending, you're really not doing anything.
Yeah, you're just a pretender, man. Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot of stuff out there for you. It does seem like, I feel like you've had the most kind of growth on the show. Like, as far as exposure, man, I feel like you kind of have risen out of above the rest of them.
It's kind of wild to see that, don't get me wrong. I've always kind of tried posting stuff on the social medias.
Yeah.
And a lot of that started too with, just being a dad and my daughter and just different dynamic of things. But then, I try to make some stuff. And like we talked about earlier, that it's difficult.
Yeah.
It is a job.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't really know, I guess sometimes, some point, followers bring you something, just more opportunity, just like doing this and getting to go and experience places that I never would have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate that. It's because it is a job. You all know it's a job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, man, we're kind of getting near our time, and it's about time for us to go grab a bite to eat.
Yeah.
So we got a segment we do at the end.
Yeah, we're going to put you on the spot.
We like to put our guests on the spot here. I'll let you cue up our man.
So all right, let me.
We still don't have it on.
Really high tech here.
Start off with 2 words: made in America.
So we like to highlight an American-made company. Do you have a favorite American-made product or company? Yeah, really put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I thought about it before we even started recording. I was like, I'll go ahead and let him start thinking about it.
I almost texted him. I was like, no, we didn't warn the other guys.
I remember this because I watched the whole episode with Brandon.
Yeah.
And because it's always fun to hear the other guys talk about, everything and the experience. I got Kimes jeans and Anderson boots, and I'm not 100% sure that they're made in America, but I'm gonna say that they probably are.
The same thing,
right? Yeah. And so shout out to them, and hell, I shout out to the Cactus Ropes, man. Like they've been good to me. American Bonfire sunglasses. They were Casey, the lady that owns that company. I reached out to her before I ever went on the show. And
American
Bonfire sunglasses, yeah. And she got me some sunglasses and sent them to me, and so all the American made there, and that'd be my first drop for everybody on radio. But yeah, they're all great products, and that's where I'd go first.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I like that, man. Yeah, I see
that. By Kimes Ranch, Anderson Bean right now. They're.
Oh, you got Kimes Ranch pants on too?
Made in Arizona, and then Anderson Bean's Mercedes, Texas. Yeah.
Well, I'm not as American.
About the O. Andersons is, I'm a difficult guy, really, like for clothing to fit or boots, but like I've had a pair of these boots, like say 6 years ago, and I ordered another 11 and a half, and they fit the same.
Okay.
And you know how great that is when you order something and you put it on and it fits like it's supposed to?
Dude, I got on some Wrangler jeans, and I ordered the same size pair of jeans, same style, and they were like 2 inches smaller in the waist. And I was like, and I knew I hadn't just gotten suddenly fat because my other ones would still fit just right.
Yeah.
And these were the exact same. I mean, it was like It was a totally different measurement
they
spectrum.
used to be made in the USA, but they're not anymore.
And their quality has gone down.
I tell you one thing, I bought a cheaper pair of jeans from the Buckle back in the day.
Yeah.
I got tired of the stripes. I call them zebra stripes that they put on the front of them. And I don't know why. It was just one day I was just like, that shit's dumb. And I can't get over it. And I was like, what jeans can I go buy? And of course in Southeast Missouri, like you can't go shop, especially for men's clothing, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, man, what can I go? Where can I find? And like I found Kimes.
Yeah.
You talk about a difference that you realize something. A lot of these brands, those kind of jeans, like the BKEs and the Buckles, they want to make everybody feel better. So what should be a 30 is
like a 32. Yeah.
Right. And so I just ordered, like a 30, 34 and these Kimes jeans are a 29 and I couldn't get them halfway up my leg. Right? And I was like, oh shit, made in America, made right. Not made to make somebody feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
Made for the measurements.
I might have to get a pair.
I had to go order a whole new.
A little bigger, yeah. I'll have to get a pair. I don't have any Kimes.
Yeah, they're good made in USA company.
I will. I'll check them out. All right. Well, we'll give a shout out to Agzaga. Go to their website, get you what you need. Use that code TalkDirt, all caps, all one word.
You find some made in USA stuff there too.
Yeah,
we've hit on.
Yep.
Which hey, they're from Missouri.
Yeah.
They're over around kind of Springfield area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Use that discount code. Order your bail net wrap. Anything you need, check them out. Yeah.
All right, Ty. Appreciate you coming on the show,
fellas.
Yeah.
We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Leave us a rating and review. And if you're listening and you feel inspired, be sure to submit your application to Farmer Wants a Wife for season 3.
Season 3.
All right. Tell them Ty sent you.
Yeah, we'll be watching.
Yeah. See you guys.